So if an organisation is going to take an approach to focus on the customer, let me just step back a bit and say, if in any organisation the customer is key, and back to the CEO study I mentioned earlier, where 80-odd% of CEOs said getting close to the customer was the most important thing in the coming years. So if that really is true, then if I look at any organisational structure, you will generally find a CEO, a COO, a CFO, a CIO, a CHRO, and other variants, a CPO perhaps, right, of important people who are driving functions in the business. Where is the link to the customer? Is it the chief vice president of sales? Who is it? Is it the salesperson, or is it the customer care person, who generally may be lower down in the organisation? So I would contest, if this getting closer to the customer is so important to the CEO, you can argue it's the CEO's responsibility. But how can he drive that on his own? Why would any organisation not be putting intense laser focus on the customer by making an outward and open statement that says, I'm having someone responsible on my board or very close to me that is going to drive this conversation with the customer for the next 5 years? Because if I don't, someone else will. And they'll drive the discussion with my customers without me knowing it. So the point I would contest is, if this is so darn important, why is it not having the spotlight shone on it with a key individual or individuals who are going to drive that agenda of change in an enterprise? So I am not an HR consultant, I would hesitate to add. However, my view would be that chief customer or chief service officer has to report to CEO. That job has to be one of the most important jobs in the lifetime of this company in the coming 5 to 10 years. Who would report to them is a migrational journey in some ways, because what we see is, as I described earlier, if the channels are reporting to different parts of the business, you have to bring that channel experience together to give a single brand experience to the customer. I didn't mention earlier the chief marketing officer. I missed the CMO out. If the CMO is responsible for brand, then that brand experience has to be consistent across all the channels. So my view would be, at some stage you have to bring the channel experience together under a chief customer officer. That chief customer officer could well be the CEO, but to put focus on it and get change made, I think that person in that organisation has to be a complete change agent, has to be completely listening and understanding what's happening in the market and to their customers, and be the absolute champion in the boardroom of ensuring that the board understand that they have to invest in customer relationship, put the foot on the accelerator on the customer to drive revenue growth.